Good morning, welcome to a morning review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Tuesday, the 15th of March. Okay, looking at the euro dollar first, and it's just purely a daily view here. It's just come back out. I want to have a look at the 4 hourly here as well. So, yesterday ended up with this almost pivot swing sort of set up. It's not managed to hold on to that, looking like it still could come back for that weekly pivot. It's still short of the weekly pivot. We can see on the 4 hourly chart to the right. Looking at where we are here, we've got a daily pivot above us, so there's always a chance we could run up to there. We do 60-100 just below us that we just tested. Coming off that, maybe we'll push into that daily pivot, and I really need to see where we go from there. There is a bit of a down. Let me just clear this Fibonacci stuff off. It's better. There is a bit of a downward trend running across the highs here. I'm just wondering whether it will have the legs to run into that. The thing is, it's a bit late to try and enter anything if it runs into that, because it will already move to quite a significant amount of points. But there is a possibility that that would at least be a target. So maybe if it breaks the daily pivot and the 50, it may be a partial target, and the amount of times it's hit that sort of range, well, the R1 could easily be a target and maybe more. So that's what I'm looking at the moment, much to the upside. If we just catch the pivot and start rolling over, I'll be looking for yesterday's lows in the S1, and then maybe we'll get down to the S1. Also has got the weekly pivot with it, and maybe then even the 60-minute 200. So cable. Sorry, I should really come back to that euro. That's one thing I was meant to mention. Is really at the moment, if we only put lower highs in, even if it catches the daily pivot, it's still in a lower high position. Although it's a bit of a wedge pattern, so the lows there really, well, suggesting it might, as I say, push on up. But we'll see. Okay, cable. Cable did put a pivot swing in yesterday on the dailies. Sorry, I'm looking at a weeklies there. Goodness, oh, it looks a bit of a funny old pattern. There we go. That's better. Inside the bearish army yesterday. Sold off shortly after that. We're sitting there at the moment into the 4 hourly 50. That has been tested again, but it is seeing yet another little bounce at this juncture. It's just short of the hourly 200. It may sell off towards that S2 area. At the moment, it's sort of looking weak. It's got much more pronounced downward trend than the euro dollar has. Now above us, obviously, daily. I say obviously, but above us we've got daily pivot. So if it did start reversing, we've got a reasonable target to the upside. Although with the 21s in the way, it may be a slow process. Any further sell-off here, well, may just get a bounce off that, as I say, 200 in the S2. I quite like that area as a possible bounce try at least. Dollar yen, still consolidated here, breaking out a little bit and strengthened a little bit on the 4 hourly here. It's already nearly down to its daily S3. You can see how pinched these pivots are, and I guess there is a reasonable probability they could be broken quite easily. Not looking ready to do too much on it. I find it very difficult to trade sometimes, so I'm going to just leave it and not do much else there. So look at the Aussie dollar. Much clearer chart in overall terms. We've yesterday put this bearish shooting star into the highs. It just ran through. It's not managed to do much more than diverge at these very tops here. Just pull back to the weekly pivot. And at the moment, heading down for the 50 MA, maybe we could see a bit more of a reversal on the Aussie dollar here. Short-term wise, well, it came close to its daily pivot, but it looks like an unlikely candidate at the moment, particularly as it's running right down. It's almost down to its S1 already. It looks like a candidate to go run down towards that hourly 200 at the moment. With the lower highs, lower lows, it's very clear. It's a bit more like cable in terms of its shaping. And finally, the Canadian dollar. Well, of course, I can't look at the Canadian dollar without looking at the price of oil first. Okay, so oil's coming back off a little bit. It sold off most of yesterday, had a little afternoon bounce, but it's breaking the lows again here, maybe back down towards the 35 region at some point. So it gives us a bit of a picture there. Let's have a look at the picture on the dailies first here. Inside bar yesterday, pushing up from that inside bar at the moment. It's a bit like a little bullish arami that was sort of sitting there. It's pushing up all the way through the weekly pivot and pushing onwards here. Broken that 200 MA, which has been sitting there as resistance for well 3 touches on that. It's broken that, heading up at the moment towards that R2. It has got an untouched daily pivot below us. Any reversals may come back towards that, but it's already pushed on so far away that I think that's quite unlikely at the moment. So it may be that it just pushes on. Now the pivots themselves are quite pinched today, looking at the pivots, so we may well see an R2 or maybe even higher. It maybe gets a real shove on, pushing up towards the R3. Okay, that's it for me. There's nothing else on that. Let's just check the news. And in terms of the news today, we've already had the Japanese monetary policy statement out, and I think we've had the press conference, and we've now in the stage of next news really is US retail sales. Now it's coming out at 12:30, not 1:30 today because we've had daylight savings. So we'll see that at 12:30. So some of the news now moving forward an hour for the best part of a month actually. Yeah, so we've got core retail sales 12:30, and then not a lot else from there really that's of interest to me. So modest day in terms of news today. Okay, that's it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.